I don't know about you, but in the last 2 days, I had hardly any battles that lasted for more than 5 minutes. The majority of them were 3:15, 4:15, 5:15, at best 6:15. About a third of them, the team has not assisted at all, and a good fraction of them, I was one of the top players, not just by the Wall of Tanks rating, but in terms of actual performance during the battle. Most of the damage I caused was blind shots, since the team was not also spotting. So today I played one battle and stopped. It was a 3:15 battle. I'm not going to play more today. Instead, I decided to make this video of two battles that were not a total waste of time. The other thing is that very often I get killed in the first couple of minutes of the battle by an enemy team that rushes the side where the SPGs usually go. So I'm not going to play in the next couple of days. So that was almost certainly that caused damage. And so I'm going to do these videos at least something is happening, have something to show. Of course, do not assume that all battles are like that. These are exceptions. But at least it is not possible to have ace-tanker games, and both of these are ace-tanker games. Mid-tier ace-tanker games. It's possible to have ace-tanker games now. Why? Because one of the perks that Wargaming introduced, they both pulled out actually, and missed. One of the perks that Wargaming introduced was one that increases firing rate, but that is also for SPGs, not just for the other tanks. And although battles are getting faster, it's possible for the SPGs to shoot more. And there are some other perks that usually SPGs got fewer perks, and some of them are totally useless. And some of the cruise skills were useless, like concealment and spotting and so on. But now we have more options. And now, I think after a very long time, SPGs can actually get ace-tanker results. Why couldn't they earlier? There were two major nerfs. One was the HE nerf, and the other one was the splash nerf. So if you fired a shot, the stun splash has become a smaller radius. Also, very regionally, SPGs could do a lot of damage. They could one-shoot an enemy tank. And there was actually a third nerf that in the lower mid-tiers, tanks got more hit points overall. So that in effect nerfs SPGs. Also the fact that it's getting hammered. Also the fact that SPGs and tank destroyers and snipers in general can no longer support so easily the tanks at the front, because there are so many corridor maps in such few locations. SPGs and snipers can take refuge in. And these locations are generally in places where you cannot support your front line. Which is useless. It is especially useless for snipers. In my right hand is recovering. I could potentially play sniping tanks. I had shot him already 2 or 3 times. I could potentially play sniping tanks, but I could play light tanks, for example, if I were just passively spot, so I don't have to move too much. I could do things with one hand. I can use my hand, but it's not perfect. Very often it jerks. But it doesn't move smoothly. Always shakes. I have to hold my wrist down. So it's fine. It's not impossible. He's dead. These guys were being shot by me, so it's not as if they didn't know that the SPG had line of fire. So the game nonetheless is quite even, so that was a direct hit. On the other hand, that was a direct hit. On the other hand, it's 5 minutes now into the game, and the battle, it's not quite over yet, but it's in its last phase. I don't have a shot of the guy on the distant hill, unfortunately. And I'm still salty about the nerfing of the Aero V39, which had a win rate of 48%. So it's not that it was OP, And the only people who were playing this tank, by the way, was one of Skill's favorite tanks. Because of some combinations of features that made it challenging but also interesting to play, despite the fact that there were better tanks in it. For example, the SU-100 had an Alpha 390 with normal AP, whereas the Aero V39 had 330 with APCR. And armor-wise, the Russian tank, the Russian TD was better. So that was the guerrilla game. It was a little bit close in the first 4 minutes, 5 minutes, but after that, it became a bit of a landslide. It's difficult to keep fighting if you're left with 5 tanks and you have to control a huge map. So also got Confederate, so Ace Tank, Confederate, and Bruiser. I was top of my team by damage, and second by experience. Ace Tanker. Elusive inventor. Okay, let's move on to the next battle. This is tier 6 now. The AMX. Something or other. Tier 6 French. SPG, and we are on the mines. This is one of those maps where you are tempted to counter battery. I never do it, but my enemies are very much tempted often to counter battery me. Let's see what happens in this battle. I consider counter battery a bit of a waste of time. It's easier to shoot someone who's spotted than someone who's not spotted, even if you have a tracer. And it's mostly, I think counter battery is a thing for those who have an enmity towards SPGs and want to take revenge. That was a miss. I recorded this battle sometimes ago. I hope I haven't posted it already. I don't think I have. Because I keep recording them to post them now. Okay, that was a direct hit. Complete fluke. I killed the enemy SPG. I wasn't even aiming at the SPG. There was another guy there, but he must have pulled back. I hit the SPG. Talking about counter battery, that was a complete fluke. Complete luck. And here Do you see how crazy it is? So I hit the SPG totally by chance. Yeah, I had seen him shooting, but I wasn't aiming at him. And here, that guy was spotted, and my shot was totally focused on him, and he went somewhere else. Gonna hit this guy. Some fire. Okay, that one hit. If you take the whole area of the tank, yes, very often, like the aiming circle, isn't completely within the tank. Maybe 50% of the aiming circle is non-tank. But very often I place my shots so that the aiming circle center is in the tank. And completely misses, like nowhere near. I don't know where it went. It went outside the circle. You see the side? There it is. Yeah, it was outside the circle. And I had pressed the thing that reduces the diameter of a circle or the surface by 10%. And so that was definitely outside the aiming circle. On the other hand, because I cannot play other tanks, I can, but it wouldn't be good. And snipers have been nerfed. I would have to play a heavy tank. I don't enjoy it. I don't like shooting around corners. I like strategy games. I am stuck with playing SPGs, really. If Wargaming gave me an option, that means removing the corridor so it can support tanks and move in a strategic sort of way, as a team, then I'll try to play again mediums and heavies. My best games in heavies were in Prokhorovka. I've posted a couple. Or what was the other one? I had a good game in medium with over 6,000 damage. Why isn't he moving? I don't understand. In the Sand River. So in the open maps, I don't like corridor maps, even with heavies and mediums. So very often the players are not the best players. It's not that I never have good players in my team, so I don't want to give that impression. Very often I have good players in my team. And then the enemy team also has good players. But very often what happens, it seems to me, maybe at least a third of the battles I'm the top player in my team in an SPG, and it's really hard to carry when that happens. It's really hard to win. It's really hard to support your team if your teammates don't know what they're doing. Whereas if you're playing a heavy tank, even if your teammates don't know what you're doing, you're in a corridor, it's kind of okay. You're likely to be encountering players and finding the players who are less good than you are. So that was a victory. That was the second battle. Sorry if my commentary was distracting. At this point, I'm more motivated to talk about the game in general rather than the battles themselves, but you can turn off my voice and just watch the battle. So I'll be releasing one or two more games because I have some more ace tanker battles. This was here fourth by damage. Okay, fine. Still ace tanker. Until the next installment, thank you for watching.